Hello everyone, welcome to another Narc Survivor live video. In this one I'm going to be speaking about the 7 crimes narcissists commit out of their envy and jealousy of you. Because the root of this disorder is envy and jealousy. They desire to take something away from you, and at the same time they feel like you are taking something away from them. And when we're talking about the things that they're trying to take from you, it's really everything about you, everything that you are, the person that you are, your qualities, abilities, possessions, your luck, your fortune, everything that makes you you, everything that is associated with you. Your job, your business, maybe your relationship as well, your friends, your family. Everything that you are and everything that is associated with you, they want to take all of that away from you because they're envious of that. Because it's not like that for them. Because they do not have the things that you possess, or they do, and they just can't get the same fulfillment as you do. And as for the jealousy, they feel like something is being taken away from them. And what that something is, it's not that you've physically taken something away from them, it's really just you. Everything that you are, everything that is associated with you. Because they have this arrogance and entitlement, they view you as an extension of them. So in their minds, you rightfully belong to them. You are their possession. So when you try to engage in things outside of them, or you try to leave them, they see that as though you're taking their possession, their belonging away from them. Because they don't see it as though you belong to you. They see it as though you are an object that exists to serve them. Every criminal objectifies a person. They claim ownership over them. And that's how they then seek to have power and control over you, and try to strip you of your own independence and autonomy, your own right and ability to govern yourself and your own affairs. So I'm now going to get into the 7 crimes that narcissists commit out of their envy and jealousy of you. And if you like the sound of that, hit the thumbs up button down below, hit subscribe and click all notifications to be notified when I go live in the future. And remember, you can book a call with me by going to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Alright, so let's get into these 7 crimes that narcissists commit out of their envy and jealousy of you. The first crime they commit is the devaluation. Now, people don't talk about this often, but this does happen, and you may have experienced this, where they may initially, before they even get to devaluing you, they may devalue other people to you. Now, why is it that they don't always do that? Now, the reason why is because it's only if there's someone outside of your relationship or family or whatever it may be, there's someone outside of that who may be particularly successful or attractive, and then they start to feel jealousy. They feel like you could be taken away from them. In those situations, yes, they will then devalue those people to you. But if they're not really that special, if they're not really anything great, they're not going to bother devaluing them. And if anything, they may compliment them and exaggerate who they are as though they're so much greater than what they are. If they're not that special, if they're not that great, and instead they will devalue you. They will put you down. They will try to make you feel insecure as though it's you who's not good enough for them. So that's why that happens. That's why they don't always devalue other people to you. They only devalue other people to you if they see them as a threat to their control. Otherwise, they're going to devalue you. Especially if they see you as the one with the value, power, and influence in that situation. Then of course, yes, it's going to be you that they target. And once they've devalued you, the second crime that they will commit out of their envy and jealousy of you is that they will then try to get you to prove your worth. They will have you on this hamster wheel, running endlessly trying to please them, trying to satisfy them, trying to make them happy, when you may have already done far too much for them, far more than what they deserve. And they may have done very little for you. And yet, they can often manage to get you to prove your worth to them. And it's because it's really just a psychological game. It has no basis in reality. It's not like they're actually above you, they're far more valuable, far more capable than you are. And so now you have to prove yourself to them. Actually, it's the other way around. They should be proving themselves to you. But they've managed to get you to doubt your own worth to where you don't realize just how great you are, because they've targeted your self-esteem. So now you're the one who's trying to prove your worth to them. And if you do wake up and you realize just how great you are, and you don't fall for that, you don't try to prove your worth to them, then this goes to the third crime that they commit out of their envy and jealousy of you, which is where they will then ignore you or give you the silent treatment, because they realize they can't manipulate you. They can't run that game on you anymore. And what they're really looking for is a fool, a doormat, someone who's going to believe in them blindly and just do whatever they want, falling for their lies and future faking, with no hints of progress or reciprocation or getting anything back in return. That is the type of person that they're looking for, because of course that works for them very well. Since they are no good, they don't have anything to give. They don't have any value. So that's why they're looking for a fool. Someone who they may deem to be an intelligent, when in fact it has very little to do with intelligence. It's more that you may be low in cognitive empathy. So they're able to manipulate your emotions. They can make you feel guilty or not good about yourself, as though you should be proving something to them, you should be seeking their validation, because they're the ones who should hold this position of authority and power over you. So that's how they get you into that position where you're trying to prove your worth to someone who is actually beneath you. Someone who is nowhere near as valuable or capable as you are. And believe it or not, but sometimes, because they gaslight themselves as well, they may not even fully recognize your worth. And that's how it's so easy for them to ignore you or give you the silent treatment and treat you with contempt, as though you really are nothing, you're worth nothing, you're beneath their consideration, based on whether or not you're willing to be their fool, their doormat. But the reality is this, and if you have woken up, you will have come to this conclusion, that it really doesn't matter when they're manipulating you, they're brainwashing you, indoctrinating you with all of this nonsense that they put into your ear each and every day. It really doesn't matter about any of that. It doesn't matter how much you believe in them. It doesn't matter if you have blind faith. It doesn't matter if you believe that something is valuable. That does not affect the value of the thing that you're believing in. Someone could give you a counterfeit banknote. So it may say $100 on it, but it's fake, it's counterfeit. So you can believe in that all you want. You can believe that it's valuable. You can believe that it's worth $100. But whether you believe in it or not, it's not going to change its value. When you go and you try to spend that counterfeit $100 bill, it's not going to be accepted. You're not going to get what you want from trying to spend it. And the same is also true from how they're perceiving you. Because if you see if you misread that there's $100 bill on the floor, and you just think it's a piece of paper, you don't recognize what it is, just because you overlook it, you don't recognize that it's a $100 bill, that doesn't change its value. It's still valuable. And while you may have overlooked it, it's going to be valuable to someone else. So when the narcissist overlooks you, they devalue you, they try to get you to prove your worth, they ignore you, they give you the silent treatment, their perceptions and behaviors do not have an effect on your value. You're still valuable, whether they see it or not, whether they want to see it or not, whether they choose to overlook it. That does not affect your actual value. They can walk past that $100 bill. It's still a $100 bill. So that does not change its value. But this is what narcissists do. They devalue you because in their minds they think that if they just perceive of something in a certain way, then that actually affects its value. When the reality is, you do have a lot of value, and that is why they targeted you. That is why they got around you. It's only because you woke up, you were no longer willing to be their doormat, their fool, their emotional punching bag. You were no longer willing to do what they want. And that's what they base their value on whether or not you're willing to take the abuse, on whether or not you're willing to accept being harmed and still see them as this Samaritan, this angel, when the reality is that that is not what they are. And as I said, you can believe as much as you want that they are something valuable, that they are something good for you. That's not going to change what they actually are. And this is why we do need to practice radical acceptance. We do need to accept what we are actually dealing with based on how we've been treated, based on how we feel in their presence from being around this person. Now, the fourth crime that narcissist commits out of their envy and jealousy of you is triangulation. They devalue you, and then when they're doing that, they're idealizing someone else. They're seeing someone else as perfect, as the savior, someone who is there to rescue them. And when they ignore you, they give you the silent treatment, they are involved with this other person. And they will often triangulate you with them. They will bring in this other person and make it into this competition. It's very shallow and superficial, because that's all they're really concerned with are things that exist on the surface rather than anything of depth or substance. They can't experience any of that anyway because they lack effective empathy. So they're more concerned with things that exist on the surface. And that's how it's so easy for them to triangulate you with another person and create this competition. But everything is not what it seems, because you've got to look at it like this. Where does this new person, this new supply, get the motivation to want to compete with you? To view you as their enemy or opponent? Where do they get the motivation? Where do they find the incentive to see you in that way? And it's because what you may not realize is that many times the narcissist is actually using you as their reference point, their measuring stick. And they are comparing the new supply to you. They're saying positive things about you to the new supply. They're telling them, I used to do this and that. And it's getting the new supply all worked up to where they then want to get around you and show you that you're not as great as you are, and also to demonstrate their loyalty, support, and allegiance to the narcissist. And it's actually very sad when you think about it, because this new supply cannot even see that they're about to be devalued, or they're already in the process of being devalued, and then they're going to be discarded. And the narcissist may even try to come back to you. The new supply is not even aware of this, that they're stuck in this cycle of abuse. So they're unaware, they're unconscious of it. But yeah, that's just another crime that they commit out of their envy and jealousy. They bring in a third person. They triangulate you. And again, it's trying to make you feel bad about yourself. To make you feel like you're not that great. To make you feel like you weren't good enough and now this new person is better. Now, this is actually how they think. This is the mentality that they have. A lot of times they do think that the grass is green on the other side. They're always looking for the bigger, better deal, the next shiny new toy. But it never leads them anywhere good. It never gets them the result that they want, the result that they're looking for. Because the reality is that they could have just worked on things with you. It reveals the mentality that they have, the way that they just jump ship, they just abandon you. And then in such a short space of time, they find someone else. Clearly, if they did that with you, they're going to do that with the next person as well. It reveals the mentality that they have. Because their envy and jealousy, it's really based on their own insecurity. Their own feelings of inadequacy, of not being enough for themselves. They're not enough for themselves. So how is anyone going to be enough for them? We need to be enough for ourselves first. We need to love and respect ourselves. We need to feel like we are good enough on our own. And before that happens, before that occurs, how are we ever going to feel like someone else is good enough for us if we're not even good enough for ourselves? If we do not even love or respect ourselves? But yeah, this is the mentality that they have. They feel inadequate, they feel not good enough, and that's how they just use and abuse people. 1 minute they're with this person, then that person's not good enough, then they're on to something else, and then they're pitting you against that person. They're trying to get you to prove your worth to them, and then they're trying to get someone else to prove their worth to them. But there's never a point where they prove their worth. There's never a point where they prove their worth to you. It's all just about you showing how great you could be for them. Which is why at some point you've got to stop and think, I'm proving myself to be this or that for who? Or for what? What reward? What do I get in return? What is the reciprocation? And when you have this mentality, when you really think about it like that, it's so easy to detach. Because then you'll realize that what you got, what you are, what you have the ability to provide to this person, they're not even capable of reciprocating even a fraction of that back to you. So all of the love, the attention, the commitment that you're willing to give out to them, you may as well keep that and invest that into yourself or save it for someone else. Because they are not good investments. What you're investing into them, they're never going to be able to repay you. You're never going to be able to get that back. Forget about a profit. Forget about an ROI, a return on your investment. Forget about all of that. Because when you're dealing with a narcissist, that is never going to happen. They use and abuse people. They exploit us. They come around us to get value from us, not because they have anything to give or share. They are the takers. We are the givers. And in their minds, that makes it a perfect match. Because that is exactly what they are looking for. But a lot of times they do get tricked as well. Because there's a lot of other narcissists out there who act like they're givers, they're empathic, they're going to do something for them, they're going to help them. And the narcissist can be very vulnerable and gullible around those types of people. And this is probably why when you look around at the world, there are a lot of narcissists who are together. And then what do? They have to target someone outside of the relationship. Because although they are endlessly feeding this fantasy back to each other, they're manipulating each other. Although they're doing that, they're not actually getting anything out of it. So then they need a third party. They need someone who they can manipulate and exploit outside of the relationship. Because that's the only way they're going to get their needs met. Fifth crime narcissist commits out of their envy and jealousy of you. It's the discard. Once they've used you up, once they've got everything they think they're going to get out of you, they've ran you dry, or you've woken up, you figure them out, you understand what you're dealing with, you're not naive anymore, you're no longer foolish, Once it gets to that point, they're just going to discard you. They're not going to have any use for you anymore. Because after a certain amount of time, your supply begins to lose its potency. It no longer has that same spark, that same effect as it did at the beginning. And this is why, typically when they begin devaluing you, they've already got another source lined up. They've already got someone who they may have been grooming for a certain amount of time. And then by the time it moves to the discard phase with you, they're already ready to advance that new supply, that secondary source, to the primary position. Because they've already been manipulating and grooming them for some time. They prepared them so they know that they are ready to replace you, to take your place. This is another crime that they commit out of their envy and jealousy, from feeling like you're taking something away from them, and also their desire to take something away from you. But then you may look at it and wonder, if it's out of jealousy, then why are they the ones discarding you? Why are they the ones getting rid of you? But actually, the reason why they discard you and also they ignore you or give you the silent treatment out of their own jealousy, the reason why they do that is so that they can then hold a position of power, authority, and control over the situation. Because they don't feel so bad about it as long as they're in control of it. Especially when they're already anticipating, they already know what's about to happen. They already know that it's a matter of time until you figure them out, until you leave them. This is why they see everything as something temporary. They don't really value or respect anything, because they see it as though this isn't going to last. It's not going to last as long as they're involved in it. And this is why they will ignore you, give you the silent treatment, and even discard you out of their own jealousy, because they fear abandonment or even exposure. They fear you leaving them. The seventh crime narcissists commit out of their envy and jealousy is sabotage. Even while they may have discarded you, and they may have started a new life, they may have moved on with their new supply, they do not want to see you happy. They do not want to see you moving on. They do not want to see you having anything. They do not want to see you having a relationship, a marriage, children, a future, getting promoted in your work, starting a new business, taking a vacation. They don't want to see you having any of that. And you've got to think, if a person has discarded you, they've treated you like you're garbage, like you're nothing. They've gotten rid of you. And they've made it look like they've moved on, they found someone else, they're in a new situation. Sometimes they're even married and they have children. So if they're happy and they've moved on, then why are they worried about you? Why are they concerned with what you're doing or what you've got? Why are they concerned about you moving on and having a relationship, you being happy? I've been studying psychology for a very long time. And just basic human psychology states that how a person treats you is a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves. Hurt people hurt people. So even though it may look like they've moved on and they've got a new supply, maybe they're even married, they've got children, the narcissist could have everything. They could have a nice big house, a fleet of cars, tons of money in their accounts, and yet they're still worried about you. Because even though they have all of those things, they're still not happy with any of that. They're not happy with their wife or husband, their relationship partner. They're not happy with their children. They're not happy with their job, their business, their house, their car. They're not happy with any of that. And it really shows when they experience discontentment, frustration, anger, resentment, with even the thought or idea of you moving on, of you having something that they will never have. And what is that? Fulfillment, satisfaction with a relationship, a job, marriage, children, a future, whatever it may be. Because they know that if you were to have those things, if you were to move on, you would be a lot happier than they are. They can't get that same fulfillment as you do. And again, if we go into the psychology of it, the thing is with these narcissists, these predators, they are high in cognitive empathy. So they prey on people, they exploit them, and they find pleasure in your pain and misfortune. That's the only thing that really gives them any excitement. It's like feeling like they have something you don't have. Or getting you to feed into this illusion, making you feel sad, making you feel unhappy, making you feel not good enough, making you feel envious or jealous or like you're missing out on something. That gives them a high, that gives them a thrill, that excites them. When they can witness your suffering and misfortune. But as for actually being engaged in something, having something, experience something directly, that does nothing for them. They can't be satisfied or fulfilled with anything directly. And this is why they view you as an extension of themselves. They get you to experience or to, they filter everything, or they get you to filter everything through them so that they can experience things vicariously through you, through your eyes, through your perception. And that's why the envy and jealousy, it's so important to narcissists, because they're very envious and jealous of you. They're always comparing themselves to other people. Because of that, they can never be happy. They can never be fulfilled. They can never be grateful. If they could have just been happy with you. They never would have left you. They never would have abused you. The reason why they harm you, the reason why they turn against you, the reason why they put you down and devalue you, the reason why they do all of these negative things, the reason why is because they can't get that fulfillment. They can't be happy. They can't be satisfied. If they could have, then they would have. But they couldn't. And that's why they put you down. That's why they devalue you. And even when it looks like they've moved on, they found someone else, they're idealizing that person, they're love bombing them. What's really fueling that illusion and giving them this thrill is knowing that you are watching, you are observing it, you're looking for answers, and you're seeing it, you're seeing them flaunt their new supply on social media. So that's what's really giving them that thrill, that high. If you weren't observing it, it wouldn't do anything for them. They wouldn't even care about it. They wouldn't even be involved in that at all. They would be involved in something completely different. It's only because of your eyes you're given power to it. The power, the energy, that all comes from you. And then that's why once you begin to move on, once you're no longer given power to it, once you're out of the picture, and you won't see this, but they then go to devaluing the new supply. They're then putting them down because there's no one to validate it. No one's given their power and energy to it. No one wants it. No one desires to have what they have, even though that's an illusion as well. You don't really desire to have what they have. It's all fake. They actually stole that from you. They mirrored you at the very beginning. They reflected your own qualities and virtues back to you. And then later at the end of the relationship, when they're with this new supply, they take these bits and pieces of your character, your qualities that they stole from you. They use that to manipulate and love bomb the new supply, while simultaneously using it to punish and hurt you. And it works both ways because you're then also giving your power and energy to it. You're making it seem real. You're making them feel alive. So really they're just energy vampires. They're sucking the life out of you to create this mirage, this illusion. And at the same time they're gaslighting themselves. They're asleep. They're not awake, they're not aware, they're not conscious. So all it really is just shame avoidance, pride and entitlement. There's no happiness, no joy, no real anything of positive emotion there. It's all just negative. It's taken away from you to fuel this illusion. So that's all that really is. They're really just projecting their own envy and jealousy of you onto you. That's all that they're really doing. They are envious and jealous of your qualities, of your genuine authenticity, your passions and interests, because there's a lot of power and energy behind that. And they don't get to experience that. They don't have that feeling from experiencing something directly, from being able to participate in something and get some level of satisfaction and fulfillment. It doesn't do anything for them. And this is the same with anything. This is why on special occasions, whether it's Christmas, a birthday, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, a vacation, whatever it is, always on these special occasions, that's when they like to cause the most commotion, the most disruption, because they can't find any fulfillment from those things. It doesn't do anything for them. And if anything, it really irritates and frustrates them. This is why they hate seeing you happy. This is why they hate to see you moving on. This is why they hate to see you having anything in your life. This is why they hate to see that. Because while you can be happy, they can't. And they look at it like, why should this person get to move on and get to have the things that they want just so they could be happy, and then they'll still be miserable? To them, that is unfair, and that is why they experience so much bitterness and resentment. Because just life in general, relationships, people, it doesn't do anything for them directly. The only type of fulfillment they get from anything And even then, it's not really fulfillment. They have a black hole, a void that can never be filled. The only thing that makes them feel real, makes them feel alive, is getting that validation for their false self. And they can extract fuel supply, which they get from getting you, or anyone really, to filter everything through them. Filter your perception, your feelings, your passions, your enthusiasm, your drive, your energy. Filter all of that through them, so that they can live vicariously through you. Because that's the only way they're going to get any sort of feeling. But even then, it's not genuine feeling, it's not genuine emotion. What that is a temporary distraction from their emotional pain. It's shame avoidance, escapism. They're just detached from reality. It's kind of like when a person gets drunk. They're not really happy. If anything, they're just damaging their brains. Alcohol does damage the brain. That's what a hangover is. And that's what the narcissist is doing to themselves when they pull people into this fantasy world to validate this illusion, this simulation of happiness, of love. They're just damaging themselves even more by doing that, because they're running from reality. So these are the crimes that they commit of their envy and jealousy. This is what they do. And it's because they can never be happy. They can never find fulfillment in anything. It's just that they gaslight us. They trick us into believing something that is not valid, it's not true. You've only got to remember what your experience was like when you were around them. How did you feel in that environment? I'm sure it felt like you were around a dead person with no life. Because yes, they are emotionally dead. They are energy vampires. They suck the life, the energy, the essence of your character, your qualities, your virtues and morals. They suck all of that out of you. And then you become dead, lifeless, a shell of yourself. It erases your identity. Because nothing real can exist in their world. It's all a fantasy, it's not real. The reality is that they couldn't be who they wanted to be in reality. They couldn't be that character. This is why they have a false character. And they have to pull you into their world, a world which is not based on facts, truth, logic. It's just based on their unstable emotions, their delusions of grandiosity. But when it comes to actually doing something or being something, they're nowhere to be found. Once you begin to wake up and you're no longer falling for their lies or future faking, then they ghost you, they give you the silent treatment, they discard you. Because you know what, it's really just a little kid who wants to play make-believe, who wants to just have this fantasy but not actually make anything a reality. I mean, it's all right if you've got a vision. If you're envisioning something for the future, Whether it's you're planning to take a vacation or to start a business, that's fine, but with the vision should come the steps to make it a reality. That's what differentiates in time fact from fiction. But with these narcissists, they want to imagine this make-believe scenario, this make-believe world. And again, that's fine if you enjoy fantasy, fantasizing over something. I was just watching this movie the other day, Harry Potter. There's nothing wrong with that at all, as long as people are aware of what they're getting into. They agree to it, they give consent, they understand what's going to happen, how things are going to play out, when this game, this fantasy is going to end. But with these narcissists, there's really no rules or conditions for this fantasy. They're gaslighting themselves and they are pulling other people into it. And it's all just to serve them so they can exploit people. So it's really not beneficial for anyone involved. It's based on lies and future faking. Nothing ever manifests into reality. And yet they're taking everything of value away from you, just to prop up this false character, when the only thing they're concerned with is how people see them. And if we go even deeper into it, they're really not even concerned with that. All they're really concerned with is how they see themselves. It's all about them. They are self-absorbed and they lack empathy. They're not really interested or concerned about anyone else. And this is why they're so envious and jealous. Because you've got to think, if you're really concerned about other people, if you're interested in other people, you're not going to be so envious and jealous. You're not going to be so arrogant and entitled. But they are, and this is why, because it's all about them. It's all about what they can get out of it. It's all about this false self. Got a little friends coming along here. Little cat came to say hello. Maybe I can give this cat some treats. Live on video. Nope. It's going away. Oh well, never mind. But yeah, this is the most draining part of the experience, is when you are focused on facts, logic, truth, reality. You are going to feel very drained in that environment. And this is actually a part of what erases you, the core of who you are. As I've said before, this analogy, it's kind of like you're rowing a boat together with a narcissist. You're on one end, they're on the other end. They're rowing in one direction, you're rowing in the other direction. And you're driven by truth, facts, logic, reality. They're driven by feelings, fantasy, nonsense, their manipulation. And what's happening is you're being pulled apart. It's like you're being pulled in two different directions. You're being erased because fantasy, emotions, manipulation, it is very powerful. It really is. And it can erase the facts, the logic of a situation. It can really affect you if you entertain it. It can be very difficult to hold on to your reality in the presence of an emotional predator, because they feed off your emotions, so they want to make it all about feelings. They do not want anything to do with logic, reality, because that's going to expose them. And yeah, as long as you are trying to hold on to your reality, you will feel like you're having a life drained out of you, because there's just no reality there. There's just these coping and defense mechanisms, these survival strategies, because the truth is they just couldn't cope with reality. They couldn't hack it. So they created a fantasy world and they pulled other people into it. And when you're around it, you will feel like you're being pulled apart. You will feel like you're being pulled in two different directions. So definitely the best thing you can do is distance yourself from it. Don't get too close to it, because it will have an effect on you. You will begin to feel like you're losing touch with reality. And it's because of just how significant, how important it is for them to have this false self validated. It's really life or death to them. It's that important. It means more to them than anything else. Now I'm going to take a look at the live chat, see what people are saying. If you've got any questions, let me know in the live chat. I will read them out and respond to them. It's getting quite dark out here now. It was quite bright earlier. It's getting quite cloudy. It's looking like it might rain at some point. But I decided to come out here and do these live videos. I think a lot of you enjoy it when I'm not just always in the hotel. I've done quite a few videos here at this specific location. Must have achieved at least a few 100,000 views just in this specific location over the past few months. So I do like to return to this area. I just enjoy being out around the trees, the birds, and often we get a few cats that like to come along as well. You know how much I love my cats, especially my own cat, Nala, who is in Malaysia. And I will be heading to Malaysia very soon as well. Just in a couple of weeks, I will be flying out back to Malaysia. Nala will be starring in my videos again. So let's see what people are saying in the live chat. Lorraine Dan says you can feel them pulling away from you. Your gut instinct is telling you they have a secret supply. Definitely, I mean, where they trauma bonded you and that's like this attachment. You can feel them pulling away energetically. And yes, it does reveal that they must be idealizing someone else. They have a new supply, a new drug addiction, as well as their many other addictions as well, of course. They're often engaged in many self-destructive behaviors, as I've spoken about before. Their addictions of having these new supplies, cheating, lying, stealing, alcohol, drugs, sex, shopping, excessive spending, gambling, all of these things. And yes, Lorraine, when they're involved in all of these acts, you can feel them pulling away from you, because your supply has lost its potency. So now they are seeking this new drug, this new high. Iroquois Pliskin asks, oh sorry, no, it's Earn Your Immortality asks, do you have any advice for when they commit financial crimes against you? You know, I don't actually know too much about finances. My parents really never taught me much about that. So I don't really have much information about when a person commits financial crimes against you. But yeah, that's definitely something to educate yourself on, because from what I do know, narcissists, they do not want you to have money, finances, because that's supporting your independence, your freedom. And they want to infantilize you. They want to isolate you without any support, so that you remain dependent on them. So definitely educate yourself on finances and when they commit financial crimes against you, because that's typically something that they will do. Money is very important to their false image, manipulating people, and also to strip you of your finances so that they're better able to control you. But yeah, I think I've given as much as I can give for this one. I think I might need to go and take some ibuprofen. I've got a bit of a headache sitting out here doing these videos. It's difficult because, you know, this world is so fake. Many of us, we may be truth tellers. We may desire to just stand up and tell the truth, because we want things to be real. We support reality. But unfortunately, most people do not. They don't want the truth. They don't want reality. They don't want to accept anything. They'd rather live in this fantasy. They'd rather be unconscious instead of being awake and aware. And this is why empaths, chosen ones, this is why you feel so drained, so lifeless by the end of the day. When you go out into the world and you're a truth teller, you're authentic, most people are not. And when they're opposed to your truth, the reality. They're opposed to authenticity and sincerity. When they're opposed to that, naturally you're going to feel drained because you're feeling like you're being pulled apart. You're being silenced because they don't want anything to do with that. And this should be a red flag to you when you go out into a certain environment, you're around certain people, and you feel drained as the empath, the chosen one that you are. This is why I've said empaths, chosen ones, they're not going to be around crowds. They're going to be alone. They're going to be isolated. They're not isolated by their own choice. Then someone else is going to isolate them. Chosen ones, empaths, are meant to be alone or around a very small group of people. Because the masses, most people, they are very fake. They are opposed to the truth, to reality. They're more concerned with their fantasies, with their selfish agendas. It's just all about them. It's not about coming together and trying to understand the other person's feelings and perspective. This is why chosen ones, empaths, by the end of the day, you will feel drained for that reason. Because you're real, they're fake. And I can't make it any simpler than that. But yeah, that's my live video done for today. Now I need to go fuel myself, get something to eat, go back to my hotel, relax, recharge myself. But I hope that I have provided some good energy, some good vibes to you. I hope that I have helped to recharge, refuel you, and provide you with some clarity on your situation and what you've been dealing with. And if I have, you can show your support down below by giving this video a thumbs up. Also, by donating to our community. You can do that by going to my PayPal. It is paypal.me/Narc Survivor. You can let me know your thoughts about this video by going to the comment section down below. I read your comments every day. Hit subscribe and click on notifications to be notified when I go live in the future. And if you would like to book a one-on-one coaching session with me, just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. Also, you can follow me on Instagram. I've got many more reels coming soon from my trip last year to Sri Lanka. You can check all of that out on there. Follow me. It is Narc Survivor YouTube or on Instagram. I just like to thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. I appreciate you all, and I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.